Right, everybody, big, huge, huge round of applause for Matt Lloyd.
I'm not that sure. My first poem is called Advice, and everything I tell you tonight in the next 10 minutes is all true. Don't worry, that poem isn't 10 minutes long, because fucking hell, 10 minutes. My name's Matt Lloyd. You can find me on Instagram, Matt Lloyd Poet, and all that shit. She was deputy head when she said, "Matthew, you will never amount to shit." They may not be the exact words she used, but that's how 15-year-old me remembers it. You will never amount to shit. How dare she? I was angry, and then I got expelled. So maybe she was right, and those words, they echoed round my head as I stared at the ceiling at night. You will never amount to shit. My anger at those words carried me through sixth form. I took a subject which was suspect and definitely out of sorts, and if I'm honest, was entirely for the love of a girl, of course. And when it was done, I found myself single and stacking shelves at Tesco's, and whilst I respect those who choose to hustle, those words were still echoing round my head. You will never amount to shit. Went back to college at 19, convinced myself it was about finding me. But really, I was still angry and I wanted to prove her wrong. She was long gone from my life, but those words, they still taunted me and haunted me at night. Matthew, you will never amount to shit. Like a boogeyman with no body except the body they lived in was mine. Early 20s, I managed to I managed to blag myself a good job. It came with a nice car and a 3-piece suit, and every day I went to work was like a big fuck you, because I was proving her wrong. There wasn't a decision I made for so long that wasn't based on my anger for those words, you will never amount to shit. It took me over a decade to realize that although the path was never smooth, those words she used pushed me, pulled me down a different path, certainly a different one that 15-year-old I had planned. I wanted to be a reggae star. Now at night, those words no longer taunt me and haunt me. They hold me tight and whisper in my ear, Matthew, you will never amount to shit. I used to think if I ever met Miss Hogarth again, I'd tell her to kiss my ass. But now, knowing what I know, I'd kiss her cheek and say thank you, because I'm not sure exactly how to measure what I amounted to, but I'm pretty sure it ain't shit. Thank you. I've got 2 more points for you. This one's kind of not funny. This isn't a good start, but it's the last Tiki, so who gives a shit? You can do what you want, right? So this is called, I'll go back to funny in a minute. This is called Polaroids. I look at these Polaroids with rose-tinted glasses. What passes as a fleeting memory greeting my senses with endorphins isn't wholly a lie. In that moment, that 1/30th of a second, it was perfect. We waited eagerly as our moment developed, but it would fade just like the memories. That snapshot in time suffocating the truth. Remember when we said it would be forever? Do you remember the tears? Do you remember the anger, the frustration? Do you remember the time you hit me in the kitchen? I remember the watch you bought me but didn't wrap. Not so much its face, but yours. We forget the lies, the other women, the other man, that awkward moment in Tesco's. We needed to rid ourselves of each other. We are happy now. We were never perfect, but for 1/30th of a second, the moment was. So my final poem, sorry, just bring it down there. My final poem I actually did in front of my mum for the first time here, actually, at Tiki's Cafe. Everything in this poem is 100% true. The first time my mum saw it was like 6 months ago. When was it? I can't remember. And this is called No Regrets. And I do love my mum very dearly. She wasn't too happy. I envy those that live without regrets, who repeat mantras like, do everything, regret nothing. Because if you had not guessed, I'm not one of those dudes. For example, 1987, I regret calling the paper boy Specky Four Eyes. And I regret the time when trying to escape said Specky Four Eyes' angry grasp that I discovered that my rally burner was no match for a car. And that my head was no match for Meanwood Avenue. I regret the time shortly after when I was in hospital with a fractured skull and I was unable to watch The Abominable Snowman. I regret the time when I was 9 and I sent my then best friend's ex-girlfriend a love note. She looked like a Lethal Weapon 2 era Patsy Kensit. Which, if you're a gentleman in this room, you know she was banging back then, right? Woo! A love note she tore up and threw in my face. I was gutted. I regret the time I fooled around with the hardest kid in school's girlfriend. We were 10. We didn't even kiss, but this made no difference when the hardest kid in school found out. And whilst I didn't get my first kiss, I got my first punch. And my second. And my third. And my fourth and fifth, and there was just a whole lot of tears. I regret the time when I was too young to know that my woodwork teacher was being wholly inappropriate. And if I'd known the repercussions, I would have quit woodwork and told my mother. I regret the time when me and my friends decided that wearing a VW badge around your neck like Mike Diat of the Beastie Boys was a good idea. This led to a 300 badge collection, which when discovered led to 6 months in detention, which inevitably led to my mother saying those words we all dreaded to hear. We're not angry, we're just disappointed. I regret the time when I was 18 and traveling with my then younger girlfriend and family, and I proclaimed to her father, if you buy me 200 cigarettes, wait for it, if you buy me 200 cigarettes, I won't sleep with your daughter on the first night. Now trust me, that was not how it sounded in my head, but exactly how it came out of my mouth. I regret the time I expanded my horizons to pharmaceutical distribution, which led my headmaster to reducing my horizons with expulsion, which inevitably led to my mother saying those words yet again, we're not angry, we're just disappointed, and she was right, they weren't angry, they were fucking livid. I regret smashing all those windows with my friends. We called it fun, the police called it criminal damage. I regret kissing Tracy Greenwood without moving my mouth. I just didn't know any better. I also regret kissing the red-headed Canadian girl without moving my mouth. I still didn't know any better. But now I regret things like the big M didn't work. I regret that we didn't see eye to eye on kids. And I regret after all those years, we chose not to communicate. And I certainly regret just how ugly it ended. Most of all, at 34, I still regret disappointing my mother because she wasn't angry, but she really was disappointed. And to add to this ever-growing pile of regrets, I even regret the end of this poem. Because it's the one where I tell you that despite all these regrets, I don't regret the lessons they've taught me. Because after all, my only one true regret would be to have learnt nothing. I've been Matt Lloyd, thanks. My book's a £5, by the way. Cool.
Sorry, Matt Lloyd, was that £5 for a book that you have for sale here tonight? And he will sign copies also. Yeah.